All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
He's another one that should be on the list
Yeah.
that we'll have to look at.
Yeah.
Do we need to call Christie? I don't know who opened the door. I don't know if that was Christie trying to get in.
There was a guy.
Oh, okay. And then, are you guys going to present your budget, or?
Yep, so we're gonna do it. You wanna do it? Did you work with Christie on that a little bit, or did she talk to you?
I
about it?
did, I don't know if this is the,
The one that's in the book looks like the one that Christie.
yeah, and I was
shared
trying to
with
say, I can see a whole lot better on this one right here, and so,
Commission departments on page 6.
okay. I just struggle with trying to find these numbers here, so.
me. That's the one that's in here, though.
Is this one right here?
I think so, it looks like.
Okay. Again, this is the one that she sent me. Again, we've already talked about the commissioners, if that gets bumped. We did talk about eliminating the chief of staff, but with that, I worked with Matthew. In fact, I sent some stuff up. We did create a new job description for that management assistant, and I think you got a copy of that, didn't you?
It came in at a recommendation of 12.
Yeah,
As a
so
senior management
with,
assistant and
with
replace
that,
it,
with
management
Matthew
assistant.
doing his homework or whatever it is, that particular position would go to a 12. I don't necessarily have that number, but you would have that number,
We'll plug it in.
whatever that is.
This was another one that came in after, so it wasn't
Right,
included in the
and
workbooks.
so, the other stuff, I think, is gonna be what it is. She did, go through and look at, all the other little, includers or the phone bills and everything else. You've all got copies of those. I didn't really see any real heartburn with anything on that part of on the commission budget. Did anybody else see anything on that commission budget that,
Oh, I had a question on the NACO leadership one.
okay,
How did that get
well,
bumped up?
part of that was.
Because of Weir.
Because of Weir, which is gonna be in Hawaii, just not sure she would rather, we talked about putting the budget in there. If it doesn't come that high or whatever it is, at least it's budgeted for that.
Originally, when we put that money in for NACO leadership, it was supposed to be for all elected officials. And so that, she kept consistent with that process. But if we want to put it out there, we could just let,
I don't remember that NACO leadership being for all.
I thought originally when we put that money in there, it was any elected official that wanted to go to NACO could use it.
The invitation was put out there for all.
But if they want to do it, they got to pay for it out of their department.
Well, and
Well,
that
but I
was,
thought it was lumped all into here just to try to encourage NACO. If it's not, it doesn't matter. But that's why it's 28,000, was just because she was afraid that if there were people that were going to go to Hawaii, that it would need to be increased. And I honestly,
Well,
and I think that's what our discussion was, that maybe we should move part of that. If some of the other elected officials want to go, that needs to be moved to their budget.
yeah, and then just keep it at the 10,000.
Yeah, but she did talk at one time, she just, as an estimate, by the time you fly, by the time you put over there, she wondered whether 15,000 was more the appropriate number to go to Weir.
I know a few years ago when it was in Hawaii before, it was about the same as it would cost to go to DC.
Yeah.
There was just
And
a lot
she's
more
kind of looked things up, and
Yeah.
it was more. A flight to Hawaii right now is kind of spendy.
I can tell you right now, because I booked one yesterday, and it's $1,000 unless you want to let them assign you a seat. Unless you want, I mean, you can almost take advantage of every break, and it's between $800 and $1,000. And then they get you on the return flight. They book you, and then they go, but if you want a return flight, add another $150. And so they I think you about have to plan $1,000 for an airline ticket for that. Plus the not knowing exactly what the rate is for the hotel, whatever. And that's why she was looking at 15 grand just for the commissioners.
So do we want to change that to 15 and then
Well,
electeds are on their own?
and move, I would rather, if the other elected officials, I think it should be part of their budget.
I think so too.
That's, we talked about that and we felt like that was.
because the invitation is for everybody to go, but if you're going to do it, it's out of your budget.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think that'd be
and
better.
you make your choice on
It
your
is
education
better,
trips and everything else,
You're
so.
right.
Yeah, it is better, because then it shows that transparency.
Okay.
It takes the heat off the commission budget that,
Yep.
oh, wow, you guys spent a ton. And it gives you a better gauge of department costs.
Yeah, and they're more responsible for their educational and travel budget
And
themselves.
you guys aren't signing off on their travel?
True.
So I think that was our recommendation to move that.
So drop it to 15?
I would think 15. I don't know whether you have, are you gonna have any more
Well,
responsibilities at
but
NACO?
we also have $4,000 on our travel
Right,
budget.
so we're okay,
So
I think.
I think that, I mean, that,
Because originally that line was for me to run for Weir and be in the Weir
Okay.
leadership. That's why I think that's why it's called leadership, because that's
Okay.
what we were talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
And if I go for the western region, which I'm intending to, whether I get it or not remains to be seen, that's what that line was. That's why we did it in there the first time, to keep it separate out of our normal travel and the NACO sponsored stuff. And NACO does sponsor some of the travel with that.
I might be confusing it with the...
You're right.
In county operations, we've got the leadership.
Yeah, we did have the
That's what
NACO
I'm confusing
leadership.
it with.
Yeah,
Because we did have something in there. I knew there was some...
correct. Correct.
but-
Okay,
also that isn't on here, or maybe it is the $10,000 that I asked for.
it won't be
For
on here.
250,
No, that was after budgets were turned in.
Yeah.
Do we want that in commission or in county operations?
probably county operations.
So if this one's good, do you want to jump to county operations? And then we can add it?
So county operations would be vehicles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that'll be page 10.
Okay, and with that, I met with Shanda. She seemed to be really good with what she was doing along there. But again, Veterans Coordinator, which was Melissa, she had already warned me about, what she was looking for. No sense going over that again. I mean, I appreciate her position, but anyway, you guys all got to hear all of that. So, and with that extra new position in there, I'm trying to see here. The emergency director, Wes, he kept everything, and you've already heard from him what he wants. The one thing he did do, he tried to put that more red in there with moving to the old, where CCOG. I noticed he never said anything about that.
There is a follow-up. I forgot to bring up until you just said that. There was a capital request for a bunch of equipment if they did get a new office.
Yeah, we were supposed to go, they invited us to come down and tour it, but both Commissioner Moser and I had other obligations, we couldn't get there.
Yeah. Get down there.
I still struggle with that, because there was some answers that I didn't get when we talked about that, is who really benefits from that additional expenses, and I still hadn't heard that. So I'm reluctant to add that into the budget unless it could be justified a little better.
And the master plan is now kind of on hold for a little bit, so
Yep.
maybe space could be added for him in that facility as an option when you get to it.
A year from now, we're gonna know a whole lot more about what
Yeah.
we're doing out there, so that's my take on that. Emma, in visiting with her, I think, well, again, the public information officer was looking for, a request, and I assume you have that, Christie, or does Matt? You
Yeah,
have
and she'll probably, she's set for Tuesday
that? Okay.
to present her budget.
Okay, so anyway, trying to think what else there wasn't a whole lot more with that one. Again, all the other programs, again, I don't know what, here again, we got a slug of these folks, that's probably not the right word, who are requesting their, the money that we pay them, the nonprofits, and they're not just all nonprofits, they're organizations. I don't know whether we want to readdress any of those and think, okay, are we just rubber stamping what they've got, or is there anybody want to discuss all of the other?
Well, I definitely think we should take a hard look at all of those and make some other things in light of our salary discussion.
It's an interesting thing, when I got here 6 years ago and that was just what we did, I felt, oh, that's just what we do. And then as I've learned over the last few years, that's not what other counties do. Even big counties, a lot of times they'll give $1,000 or $2,000 and we're giving $25,000, $30,000 to some of these groups. And they're great groups. It's just like when United Way came in. That's a great program and gets people back in the workforce, and it sounds great. What are we going to cut? Because we already give so much money to so many groups that it's astonishing.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the major ones, because I remember we had a heartburn several years ago over our contribution to the economic development, because Idaho Falls was trying to get us to contribute. Boy, if we didn't have some discussions over that one. And I know that used to be higher than that, and we finally went,
We actually went down to 25,000.
Yeah.
So.
And it went back up to 70.
Yeah, because I remember that was, again, for that very same thing, what are we getting out of taxpayers' money for all of that? If we're really serving people who don't get meals, or we're serving things that, as maybe part of indigent type stuff, I'm okay with some of that, but like you say, there's $250,000, $300,000 of taxpayers' dollars that we're redistributing. Is that the best place? I'm not sure I'm going to make any recommendations, but anyway, that's something we need to look at, especially when somebody else is wanting the Historical Society to come in with the big number of.
Oh, did they? I didn't.
Oh, you missed
yeah,
it.
you missed that one.
You missed that one.
Payroll is going to go up a third. And I think that was the director's recommendation.
Correct.
I felt bad for Arlen because he come in under the gun, but
They just fired the director.
well, that was why he was here, and it was, I think it was
Okay.
their recommendation, and it was going from like 90,000 for payroll up to 150 without any justification. I'd like to have seen what's Pocatello offering up there, what the revenue side was.
Yeah.
So again, sooner or later, we're gonna have to make that decision, I think, on those numbers right there. But you wanna just rubber stamp them, or whether some of those
No.
go down?
I don't want to rubber stamp them.
Yeah, so,
I'm to the point where we need to do something different. And again, if we're going to try to take care of our people, maybe that's where we have to start, is cutting out some of that stuff to do that, so.
Maybe what I'll do is put together for Tuesday, we can do a list of just all the contributions in one spot.
Yes.
Because right now they're spread about 3 different departments.
yeah, and a lot of them are just right
So,
on here in the county
Well, we've got a
operations.
few in indigent,
Yep.
and we've got the
Because like
historical
we
one
were
and
talking yesterday,
historical.
changing our indigent for the cremation.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that we need to take care of and do.
And it's probably higher priority than some of these things.
Correct.
We're the last, as
Right.
as Chantel says, we're the last line of defense or resource, whatever you want to look at that, so.
A couple other changes we made was, or not we, but that was made. $3,000 for vehicle repairs and maintenance and fuel was moved to county operations from the commission budget, since those are now a little bit more pooled vehicles.
Yeah.
So that was moved into here. And then on the next, and I haven't got my list.
So the,
IAC usually sends a list of what the dues are going to be for next year, and I don't think I've seen that yet.
yeah, so is what's that legal fund right there, is that still, our potential litigation's gonna stay where it's at?
So yeah, on the next page, those are discussion topics. So the other, above that one though, real quick, if we can hit it, the admin fees for the flex plan. Would you
Okay.
be opposed to moving that to the HR budget?
I think that's where it should be.
Matthew currently kind of monitors how many people are on it and that kind of thing, so it would just make more sense. And I believe it's already budgeted in there, so right now we're double budgeted for the discussion purposes.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
Okay,
I am too.
so we'll zero it out here. And then the juvenile facility amount I'll plug in when we have a little bit better idea of what the salaries may be for juvenile detention, and then I'll do that calculation. Potential litigation, okay, now you can go.
Well, are we just leaving that the way it is? I mean, it's probably just a plug number, we don't know what
That's
it is.
the
but
number we've been using the last couple of years.
But-
It is just a generic.
Do we
number.
do we need to lower
We
that?
took it down from $1 million last year
Okay.
to 500,000.
So, I mean, if you even drop it even farther, that's maybe some money that could be spent towards, employees.
We kind of
potential.
use reserves for that, just because it's
Reserves.
If we ever had to, it'd come out of
it's
reserve funds?
potentially
Okay.
one-time money, so
Okay.
I don't plan to use
And I'm
property
o-
taxes for that.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
The event center funding contribution, that one will be a plug number.
Right.
I'll double check with Scott, but he has not been able to raise enough money for the 4th of July event, so it also subsidizes that. But I'll figure out how much property taxes are versus what his budget request is gonna be, and then that's that plug number right there.
So is 15 enough to help with that July 4th deal?
I can talk to Scott as we put together the clerk's recommendation. It was based on what he thought he could raise for revenue, and the budget for 4th of July was 125.
And we probably could, is this where we're gonna put that $10,000 for the
Yes.
celebration?
So
The
how do you-
250 birthday?
How would you like us to label that?
Well, it's not an event center deal.
No, but we put it in
Yeah.
county operations, but I'll just put in a $10,000 like miscellaneous USA 250.
Yeah,
50th
USA
birthday?
250 birthday
Yeah.
party.
Okay.
Celebration or whatever you might
Okay.
wanna call it. So-
And just when I was talking to Melissa, because we just missed the Army's 250th birthday, the Marines is in November. So maybe on Veterans Day or something, we have a community picnic, something catered, you know, and celebrate all the militaries that are, because they're all 250 years old this year and next year. And then what we want to do to contribute to, like I say, the symphony coming on the 4th of July, the activities and events. I think it's an important thing for us to participate in and celebrate.
On the grant match, how much of that are you including for CCOG fees and dues, or not fees and dues, but
It's hard to gauge how much she's gonna cost. It just depends on if she finds a
Right.
grant that is beneficial for the county to apply for. Really, we haven't
Do you-
paid her anything
do you
much.
consider those as like one-time funds?
Yes.
Or
So could that be covered by reserves if we had to?
The funding source will be reserves, yeah.
Okay. The rest of that looked like the...
Capital vehicle.
Okay.
Originally, we was gonna buy a pickup, and I've talked with Buddy, and I would rather go with a Tahoe to put in the car, in the pool. It's like you was talking about driving to Vegas.
Mhm.
Be a lot nicer vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And just after going to South Dakota and Coeur d'Alene, I think we need a vehicle a little bigger, a little better to put in the pool.
Okay.
So I was talking to Buddy, and that, if we put 70,000 total, so you already have, what,
32,550.
32,550? And part of that, I mean, the truck is going to Road and Bridge. And so,
And they'll replace it. Ooh.
and they'll pay part of it because they're getting a brand-new truck, basically. And so the difference will come out of this.
So we really shouldn't need 70.
It won't be 70,000. I'm
Minus-
just saying that, I was looking at what Tony and them had on theirs and what, and Buddy talking to him.
Okay.
He says, if we put 70,000 for this vehicle, or, you know, the difference,
Well, if they'll pay, I'll check with Buddy and say, how much are you, well, I can look at their budget.
the
And
change.
whatever they're paying, then
The
we'll just
difference.
reduce it by this, but make a note on the side so that you guys know why it's so low.
So, but in our carpool, a vehicle that you can travel somewhere in.
That'll be nice, because the three of us loaded up with a GIMP.
Yeah,
Well,
that
two
was
of
fun
us
that
loaded
year.
up with a GIMP.
When I was,
To go to-
when I was on my
To go to
scooter.
Sandpoint.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about another Equinox, and we talked about the Traverse and stuff, and both Kyle and Buddy come back and says the Tahoe would be a better vehicle for this purpose.
Well, and like you said, if you've got, I mean, even two or three of you guys, all three of you probably would never travel together, but.
Well, I was just
makes
thinking about when you say maybe going to
Not
Vegas.
necessarily should be.
No, shouldn't be.
I mean, for four of you to get in
Yeah,
that to go to Vegas or something,
yeah,
I mean, it's just this
yeah.
difference in airfare for four.
Yeah.
It'd make a big difference.
Well, by the time you add luggage.
I was gonna say all your kits.
So,
But-
anyway,
but-
that's, That's what we'd like to add
Okay.
and look at for there.
Okay, I've got that noted.
Okay.
And then we can hit, do you want to hit the other departments after?
So you've got the Capitol building, you're just putting that in there as
Oh,
a
yeah.
placeholder for the road and bridge.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what
Is
we
that-
talked
is
about.
that- Are you guys good with that still? We just did 5 million?
That's a solid number.
Especially for next year. You know, we might have more information after that, but I think for next year, it's a good placeholder.
Okay.
So that completes county operations.
Do you want to talk about the last ones after we do prosecutors?
Sure.
Since
Can
you guys,
do. Yep.
you guys are hanging out. The next ones will be really fast.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, let's do this while they're here.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I'd make them wait.
You can make us wait.
I've seen their budget, we should make them wait. Come on up.
What page are they? Do you want-
35.
That's a whole lot easier for me to see it.
Did you say page 35?
35, yeah.
I said with the IECD.
Who's this guy on the end? Haven't
I-
seen him for a
I
while.
know, I was gonna say, Ian, make sure you introduce, you know, the two you
Well,
got
for
with
those of
you.
you that aren't aware, John's mother passed last Thursday.
Oh, I'm
I didn't know
sorry.
that. I'm sorry to hear that, John.
I don't think anybody knew till I talked to you, because I talked to Christie and she didn't know, so.
Yeah, so I've been out this week. The couple of weeks before that, I was preparing for a trial and executing a trial. So I apologize.
No.
I haven't been around for, it's been about 3.5 weeks.
Well, the first
Next
2
week I'll
weeks
be
we're a little
back.
upset about, but not this last one.
Yeah.
We'll cut you slack.
That's fair.
And for what it's worth, the trial that him and Janet Franklin in our office did was a very significant child sexual abuse case that involved a girl that had been groomed and victimized by her stepfather starting between 6 and 7 and didn't stop until she was 14 years old, and the abuse was extensive and disturbing as hell.
One that had to be done right. I told Judge Hunt that was a case that was actually easy to prove, but it was brutal to prove it. I think that's the best way to put it.
So
It
not
had to be done
to,
right.
not to kill the levity.
yeah.
I'm like,
We've been
hi,
having a good day.
Hey, I'm Ian. I'm gonna turn this all dark.
But we've missed you.
All we had to do was
Condolences.
work on a budget.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourselves, and then the floor is yours. Just kind of hit your highlights and what you want to talk about.
Thank you very much. I'm
You
Ian.
wanna- Real quick, if you want to talk specific employees, we can go into executive session.
Yeah.
You do want to go into executive session, or?
Well,
Do you want me to introduce first and then,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
this is my first
Whatever
time
you
doing
want.
this. Whatever I
However,
want.
you let
The
us.
floor is yours. You just go.
I'm Ian Johnson, Bannock County Prosecutor-elect, with my Chief Deputy, John Radford, and my Assistant Chief Deputy, Alan Bamey. John is going to start off initially with a summary of things, address some of that. We do have some personnel issues that probably require us, or be most beneficial to just go straight in.
Well, there is something I think needs to be said on the record before we go into executive session. Our office did submit a memo. We were pretty forceful in the language of that memo. We want you to know that's not our view of your leadership being inadequate. In the past, this office has not advocated very well when it comes to budget and when it comes to salary. Has not identified the issues that were struggling, and the budget was often a second thought. And so, in executing that memo, we just wanted to get our point of view out in front of the board for its consideration. We recognize that we're one of many departments in the county. We recognize the county has many needs. We just want you to be aware of what our needs are. And with that, I'll ask that we go into executive session.
And just before we do, can you do it by talking about position numbers, or do you need to talk about people specifically?
Well, we're going to be talking about people.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061A and B.
Commissioner Moser?